You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Hemlock Grove After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Hemlock Grove After Show.
Oh man,
I feel like I'm at the club right now.
I like this one. Hey everybody, Bing is for doing, and here we are doing another awesome after show for your favorite show, Hemlock Grove. And here it is at AFTERBUZZ TV. We're on season 1, episode 10, What God Wants. I am your host, Shano, and I'm joined here by my... I am joined here by a gaggle of gorgeous girls. Let's start to my right.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marisa Serafini.
Hey guys, I'm Tiona Hobson.
Hi there, I'm Jurgens.
We're going to be talking about a number of interesting topics. This was one of the best episodes recently. And let's see, we're going to be discussing Roman waking up finally.
Yay!
And his bromance being rekindled.
Back.
Yes. Olivia and Shelley have an interesting conversation in the attic. So do Chrissy and Norman over at the mental institution. Chasseur hunts down Peter, and Sworn takes a big hit. And of course, those of you who watched the show, why would you be watching us or listening to us if you didn't watch? You know what that's all about. And we'll talk about some news and gossip as well. And we're actually expecting a guest to be calling in, and that's going to be Dean A. Odell, who is the art director on Hemlock Grove. And we're going to have a little interview conversation with him.
Yeah.
So, Roman finally wakes up, everybody. Jeez.
I like the way he waked up. I was like, what? What happened? What? Just so non like, oh.
Yeah.
Don't worry, dude.
Whatever.
It's not like you've been out for 2 weeks or anything.
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's go.
That was actually interesting that he said you've been out for 2 weeks, and it was in our time it was 2 weeks between episodes, which was pretty neat that happened. There was virtually no ellipse time between the last episode 9, and this episode, because it was like right when Peter's telling Letha to F off, and he smashes the lamp in that rage, to make her stay away from him. It picked up right where it left off, which was pretty neat.
Yeah.
And Roman just, like you said, Marissa, he just like nonchalantly wakes up. What time is it? Like he's been out for like a few hours.
Yeah, to go on nap.
Yeah, exactly. So right away, he's only interested in the full moon, which is pretty cool because he's like task oriented, and they talk to each other and they end up making up pretty much right there. Am I right?
Yeah.
Which is the cool thing about being a guy.
Yeah. You just kind of, you're like, you good? You
Yeah.
good? All right, cool. And walk away. Girls, it would have been a 15-hour talk where there's crying, there's laughing, there's more crying.
There's hugging.
There's hugging.
They waited a little bit. They had to go for a nice scenic drive, right?
Yeah,
to
they did
really
go for a
hash it
scenic
out,
drive.
Yeah, they
let
did.
their feelings.
They did a little bit. And thankfully his car was ready and waiting, and it was nice and clean too. His mom really took care of it.
Yeah, she was, last episode, she was like, I expect this to be done already. Like, get it to me now. He needs to have it. It's almost like she knew that he would need his car as soon as he woke up.
Yeah, didn't somebody say something like that during the episode? I feel like Olivia said something like that. Like there was this divine hand that's kind of like everybody's rules have been assigned, right? Was that Olivia?
Yeah, it was her.
Yeah.
She basically, I don't know exactly how she worded it, but it was like, she said, you think I don't know what he's been doing and what was coming. She said it's kind of been happened in history. I wrote one thing down that she said. She said she knew what he was up to the whole time. The climax is unforeseeable and astonishing every time. So, and then Shelley asks her, well, will we be all right? And then she responds, it's a pity you don't drink. That was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah. So Peter and Roman, like Tiona was mentioning, they go to the waterfront, and they kind of still have like a little bit of a conversation there. And Peter ends up saying that the Vargolf is his problem, not Roman's, and he really doesn't want Roman to get involved, but he still insists on helping. And Peter did some funny kind of goofy captain thing. Do you guys remember that? He said something like, "You're a loose cannon." Roman, but you're. What do you say? I'm glad you're on my side. Something like that, right?
But it shows that their bromance is rekindled. They're joking around and they're on good terms again. And that now they have to, their mission now is to get this Vargolf.
Yeah, and Roman, he ends up going to the high school. And his purpose was it just to tell Shelley that he's okay?
I think when he woke up, the relationship that they have, he was like, I need to go see my sister, because at this point, I don't even think Letha, by the end of the episode, knows that he's awake again. So I thought it was kind of sweet that he made sure that he went to see his sister, because he knew that out of everyone, she would be the most affected and the most, missing him out of the bunch.
And there was that one moment at the school where you see this group of students, they're praying for Roman, which I thought was interesting because Shelley's also in this group and praying probably against Olivia's knowledge and will, because a couple episodes back when we saw Chasseur go to Olivia and she says, "I'll pray for your son," Olivia's like, "You'll do no such thing." So even Shelley's praying behind Olivia's back.
You know what? I didn't notice her in that group. So she was in that group with that one like mean teacher that said no petting in the halls, right? I think it was that lady.
It might have been.
I think I had seen her before. I think that too.
But then she was in another class like right afterwards. So did she like move periods, or was that?
Yeah, I think there was just a time lapse in between scenes.
So so there was a little bit of an ellipse because she ended up being in a different some art class.
Was in art class
right, and that's right, and there was a male teacher there. And that's when Roman's like tapping on the glass. It's like, "Hey, I'm awake."
I also thought it was kind of interesting because, the whole God thing with the prayer circle praying for Roman, and then later on in the episode, Chasseur tells him, he's like, "Just let me help," and she says, "You can't help me because you don't believe in God." But then here's like a whole group of people praying for him to wake up.
Now, how does she know that he doesn't believe in God? Is it just because Olivia said that comment before?
I think Chasseur knows that he's an Upir, and I guess Upirs don't believe in religion.
That doesn't satisfy Sean, Marissa. He's not satisfied with that answer.
But then she makes weird comments then, because if that's the case, she says things like, "Oh, God, doesn't want you to be happy. He wants you to be strong," and things like that. So she wouldn't say both of those things if God doesn't, if he doesn't care about God, what does that matter?
Maybe she was testing him to see if he would argue the fact that he does believe in God so that he could help, and since he said nothing, kind of proved her point. Maybe it was those loaded questions. No.
Interesting.
Sean still doesn't look satisfied with any of these answers.
Not good enough.
I don't know.
Still not buying it.
Back to the Hardy Boy aspect of this conversation. So the guys, they're in the car, right? They're listening to the radio, and this, in a way, it reveals, like, there's this curfew that's going on, right? Now, they said the curfew, like, any minors out after, what was it? Was it 10 or was it 6?
Sunset.
Sunset.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty early, man. So after
depending on what time of year it is.
Yeah. So after sunset, they better have a good reason for staying out. That's what Sheriff Sworn ends up saying. Now, was it just minors, or was it anybody who's out after sunset? Because it seemed like everybody.
I think the whole town was put down on curfew.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting how the Vargolf, or the killer, has that many people scared that everybody has to be inside their houses, which is pretty interesting. And we noticed that there's really more of I think there's a big MO here. Like there's pretty much, it's young girls that are being killed. Now, we talked before in previous episodes, like maybe it could be lesbians that are being killed. Maybe it could be just like teenage girls that are really sexually active or sexual. But I do want to talk about it later when we get to Sworn. Like, why did his girls get killed? So fast forward a little bit more. The boys, they're over at the steel mill. They're talking, and again, they're still kind of reconciling a little bit, even though they had done it earlier in the episode. They're still doing it more, and this is where they really get to the meat of it, which is obviously Roman's jealousy. So he's pretty much jealous about Letha being with Peter, right? And he ends up saying like, "Hey man, do you love her?" And then Peter's like, "Oh yeah, I guess so." And I guess for a guy in high school, that's pretty solid.
Guy in high school after 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks. That's quick on any scale to be dropping L-bombs already.
Young love.
But
I agree with you.
young love.
But I think it's just because they just got reunited and they're friends again. Now he's like, okay, I believe it. You're in love. All right, let's just put that aside.
Yeah, and getting fast forwarding a little bit to the transformation. So it doesn't show it this time, but it shows the aftermath of it. It shows his skin sack on the mound of old rubble and steel, I guess. And he's run off. He's turned into a wolf. His eyes looked pretty special this time. They're really like intense yellow. I kind of half second, I thought he was the Vargulf instead, like, because we didn't see Peter actually changed. So I was like, dude, what if the Vargulf was in there and it switched places with Peter and then it attacks Roman? How crazy would that be?
I got confused for a second too, and I thought the same thing because of the eyes being so intense this time as well.
And I was wondering, I was like, did they talk out a plan of how to communicate when he's a wolf? Because clearly he can't talk. So how are they gonna know? Like, hey, dude, it's me. Like, give me a nod. Like, because Roman kept asking him questions. It's like he can't answer.
Right.
Are we sure he can understand you in wolf form? Besides knowing that this is my friend, don't hurt him. Does he understand English?
Maybe not. I think the interesting is that because we didn't see the transformation and allowed the audience to use their imagination again for this transformation, and then the fact that Peter didn't eat his own flesh this time makes me wonder why, or if he's really on this mission to search for this Vargulf, that he didn't even take the time to eat his flesh again.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because Chasseur, when she's at the steel mill, she mentioned something kind of along those lines too, or you kind of reminded me of that. She said something to the effect of that he's a monster and he needs to like see himself for it, and he's kind of like blinded to it, right? So we really don't know if Peter isn't killing these girls or not, but we seem to have a caller on the line. Am I right, Steven? So hello, caller. Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's Hemlock Grove podcast. You're on the air.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello.
Hi, how's it going? Is this Dean A. Odell?
It is.
Oh, hi, Dean.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast. So nice to have you on, and thanks for taking the time to call us.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's quite gracious.
So we were trying to do a little bit of research on you, but we could not find that much online. So tell us a little bit about your background, like where are you from, where did you grow up, and how did you get into show business?
Okay. In summary, it's Canadian, born Ontario. Went through as a graphic artist, illustrator first, and realized I didn't kind of want to go that direction, and then ended up, after graduating from there, went into a 4-year film program at Ryerson, and kind of just married the art with the film end, and found the world of filmmaking, and then started working with a buddy of mine who was doing commercials, and that was 28 years ago.
Oh wow! So it's quite the journey then.
Yeah, it's been great. It's a wonderful industry. It's got its challenges like everything else, but it's a tremendous creative environment that gets to work with some great people, and just going to work is the same every day, but every script is different, every cast is different, every situation is different, and I look forward to it actually, and regardless of whatever project I'm working on.
Very good. So how were you initially approached to do the art direction for Hemlock Grove?
There's a local producer or a production manager in town, Whitney Brown, who I've known over the years, who called up and set up an interview with the wonderfully talented production designer on the show, Drew Boughton. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to talk with him. He's actually the one that brought in the Crutzen concept with the images as well as sort of the color palette. And great guy, incredible guy. quite gracious, and went through the routine of going with the interview and got the job, and it was a wonderful relationship.
Excellent. Hi, Dean. Thanks for calling in. Hello. What was it like collaborating and working with Darren and Eli with their visual concept that they had of the show? Like, did you guys have creative disagreements, or did you guys just mesh well and made Hemlock Grove as amazing as it is?
Pretty much. I mean, that was on Drew's end primarily, to set stuff and to come up like with concepts. But I mean, obviously, we tried to stay close to Brian's book. There were things that obviously didn't translate well or translated in a different way, but we definitely wanted to stay close to the book as much as possible. But both Eli and Darren are just incredibly talented, gracious men. And Darren, for sure. I mean, I firmly believe that with his input, I mean, he's a tremendous guy, another gracious guy. And if he had not been around, or I think without his sort of touch on the series, I doubt that it would have gotten the acclaim that it has right now, let alone waiting for a second season.
The show definitely has its own special look, and can you talk about the process of what you guys did to make it, have the look that it does, and what challenges you faced?
It was, as I said, I mean, we tried to stay close to the Crutzen photographs in the look. We wanted to keep the color in, but the color grayed out. So that's why you'll never really see anything that's incredibly bright. Each person kind of had their own little flair, or each person had their own sort of color palette that we tried to stick with, like Famke with white, and the trailer scenario with Peter. There was just so many different elements that that came to work. It was one of those projects again where just everything just seemed to gel from the crew, from the cast down, from the top of the line management all the way down, and it was just one of those wonderful productions actually that everything came together, as well as a crack scenic team and a crack construction team that were more of the feature end look. I mean, that's really one thing that we're kind of proud of, is it's definitely not a television look, and that was kind of the intent, to make it look like 13 little mini features. Mm-hmm. But again, it's also with the photography and the lighting wise as well.
Nice.
I just wanted to ask, you said that, you guys had to find all these little things to get the set to look just right. What were some of the strangest things that maybe you guys had to find to include?
Well, a lot of it is you try to, you research it, to death, you just research as much as you can on every type of scenario, from werewolves to obviously vampires and Upers. I mean, just as try to get as much to give credit to Brian for the input on the book and the for the research that he put into it as well, and it really comes a culmination of different elements that work, but incredible amount of research went into just the look. And then obviously you do color tests and palettes, but again, I mean, that's more of Drew's hand as well, for the actual color down. And I mean, he's the one that actually met with Eli and Darren initially in LA, and so that's basically how he ended up getting the job. Is from what I understand from as we've discussed it, is because he brought obviously he's got the skill set to do it, but it was the color palette and the Crutzen photographs that just kind of said what they felt visually, what they wanted it to look like.
When we were doing some research online, I see that you did art direction for 3 particular episodes on Hemlock Grove. Out of the, let's see, What God Wants, Jellyfish in the Sky, and The Price that I see here that you did, which of those was your favorite one to work on?
Wow. One, I would have to try to remember them all. Each one actually brought specialty elements, but I liked 10 for sure. Episode 2, there's just, I mean, each one had such great visuals, from the grave scenes to the Hearn Mill to, the church scenes to obviously the, culmination of the battle. I don't want to give anything away because that's in episode 12, 13, but you can't, it's one of those things where they're all just part of the bigger picture and you can't really isolate, which one, because each one brought such a great visual challenge and.
So what do you, overall, aside from the art direction, like taking more of a general perspective, what do you like the most about Hemlock Grove?
Outside of just, telling the story, again, I mean, it's, it might be kind of cliche, but it was an incredible cast. It's one of those shows that, after, 20, plus years of, you sit back and go, man, you know what? If anything, I hope this project goes again because it was just like magic. It was one of the things where the cast looked at the role, the cast played the role, the everybody on the floor from riggers to the grips to the lighting to electrics to camera. I mean, everyone just made it one big kind of family. And everybody it was just a great experience. It was, and so we're all kind of sitting back and crossing our fingers and toes and hoping that, Netflix wants to go again.
Yes,
So are we.
I noticed throughout some of these episodes there are some random numbers that I'm trying to believe that they have a deeper meaning. Like,
Yeah, they do actually.
Okay.
But what though? I'd have to actually probably see the show again. But each one, it's one of those things that's there's a reason for it to be in there. Even down to I actually forget the number that we had on the mailbox at Peter's residence at the trailer, but even that had a significance to it.
that's so
But
again, it all comes down to the research of the whys and hows and how we can incorporate it. But yeah, it was just it was very, very important for that all of this stuff had some resonance of really, again, to give Brian credit for what it was in the book.
I agreed.
Did you have much of a preference? Now that you've done a series for Netflix, is there a preference now for you doing Netflix or like streaming content that's released all at once like this? Or television and film? What's your preference over those three mediums?
Well, I just, I mean, the television series is good for the bank. Because the mortgage company loves that, but you love film, but because it's one of those things where it comes into town not like an actor. I mean, when a project comes to town, there's like one designer role and one art director role, and so you kind of hope that you nail one of those projects. Films will always be my passion, but this was a very, very special series again, and I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed this. So I don't know. It's really dependent on the project and who the project's being brought by and who the directors are and who the personnel are, because there's just there's a bunch of variables to them. But most of the stuff that I guess I've crossed on both. I've done a fair amount of television work as well as a fair amount of film work. So, but normally it's you get more money with features, so you can kind of play more. But but that said, I mean, it's imagination doesn't limit the budget, so Hemlock turned out, it was a great budget, and but there's never enough, right? I mean, there's always that battle where the creative goes, wow, yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, because I sit back and reflect on what some of the stuff that was designed that we just couldn't afford to build, that was just mind-blowing. So I'm kind of hoping that if, season 2 goes, we might be able to steal some pieces of those things back and find some money for them.
Since you've had such a great career and the opportunity to work on so many different projects, is there any project out there that still is like a dream project for you that you would just love to work on?
Again, it's primarily driven by the story. I mean, I love period pieces, and just because of what you can do with them and the amount of research, again, that you go into them. But it's really the story that attracts. I mean, it's the typical where without the story, there's really nothing, and everything works off of that. So it really comes down to whatever that project is.
And is there any one project, you've worked on so many, that you could say is kind of like your proudest moment in your career?
Well, I would have to say it's Hemlock Grove.
Yes, that's what I was hoping for.
That's just, that goes without saying, that one. So I kind of just, I hope, and I mean, it was a different structure as well, not worrying to have to, do the breaks and I know you've talked with Darren and the rest of the guys and Mark and about the delivery is different. So, there's much more intensity that you can put into a show, and you don't have to worry about, selling laundry soap and things like that. And as well as the opportunity to be able to stream all episodes one night. I mean, I did the binge thing, and just to me, because that's just the way, that you find in the characters, and but I think that's definitely the way of the future is what Netflix has got themselves into right now, for sure, because it's by far the best way for storytelling, I think, as well as, hopefully for the overall audience feel the same way.
Agreed. It's just, much like buying a novel or buying a book from the store, people can do it at their own pace. And
Correct.
And Netflix, being such a great pioneer in this medium is just, that's like what they're doing with Hemlock Grove, with House of Cards, with Arrested Development, all the other original series that they've had coming out. I wanted to ask you, this is such a character-rich show, and what's cool about it is that we have so many ups and downs with all the characters. And I wanted to ask you, Dean, who is your favorite character and why?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Again, I have to, I mean, you think all of them are amazing, and because you've seen, because some of them were so young, to see them actually at the end of the show, to see how much they've actually grown in their performance and their confidence was truly wonderful to watch. But the character that, you got to go after the underdog and the sympathetic, and to me, it's the Shelley character who has to get, because she's the heart and soul of the show in many ways. I mean, she's the one that, in the end, that does the right thing and is always concerned about other people, and she speaks more of humanity than I think of, which is, counter to obviously the way she looks. So there's that paradox there, but it's Shelley was totally an incredible character, and I liked her. I mean, I did. You like them all, but you can't. It's like raising your children. You can't love one better than the other.
Agreed. What other projects have you got in the near future that we should keep our eyes or ears out for?
Well, hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to yell and scream that Hemlock is coming back. I mean, I'm hoping for that. There's like anything, you never give a show away on bird in the hand, because it's always one of those Sarah's with this type of industry, you got to take what's there. But I've turned down a couple of projects in hope that everything comes together, because I firmly believe that it was such a good program that I believe that Netflix will go again on a second season. And I'm trying to kind of keep myself available for that with, taking stuff obviously in between, but nothing longer term until I get confirmation one way or the other on Hemlock.
Excellent.
Very well. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up with thank you so much for joining us, Dean. And it's always great to have such different perspectives, especially from you being the art director on the show. Where can our fans here at AfterBuzz TV follow you at? Are you active on, do you have a website or social media platform that we can follow?
Well, it's the Twitter account, and I have a Facebook account, and you guys would probably know that stuff better than I would.
Where can we find you at on Twitter? What's your @ sign on there?
It's the D.A. Odell.
D.A. Odell. Okay. Very good. Well, Dean A. Odell, the art director for Hemlock Grove, thank you so much for joining us on the AfterBuzz TV podcast for Hemlock Grove.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and it was great talking to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Dean.
We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Well, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Such a different perspective. And thanks to Marisa for getting on all of our wonderful guests.
Yeah.
Yes, Marisa.
You
thank you.
rock. Yeah, it is so fascinating to just hear everybody's different perspectives. It's really kind of, I don't know.
But I love
Very
that the
fun.
overall theme that we're hearing is that everyone wanted this to feel like a movie, and that's definitely something that we've all felt like we're watching a very long movie that we just don't want to ever end.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And I loved how everyone said that, like, they just all collaborated well together, and that's why Hemlock Grove was so successful, because everyone just worked well.
And also, everybody loves Shelley.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the second or third person to call her the heart and the soul of it, which is interesting.
Yeah, she's like the most likable person on the show. Like she probably has a 5% dark side compared to everybody else on the show.
Well, not only is she a great character, but also just her story. I mean, to be an extra and then get I love stories
Right,
like
that's
that.
great.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you're right. So fans, don't forget, if you guys want to hear more of us, check us out on iTunes. Just type into the search bar Hemlock Grove, and guess what? We're the first podcast that pops up. And additionally, on the iTunes store, go ahead and type in Serial Buddies or The Adventures of Serial Buddies. I think you just type in Serial Buddies. It comes up, right?
Adventures of Sarah Buddy.
That's right. It's pretty much Dexter meets Dumb and Dumber, and this is Maria Menounos, our CEO and founder, and Kevin Undergaro's collaboration to create this funny, amazing film that is it's on there for you can download it instantly. I bought my copy already, and I've been like looking at my favorite my favorite
Parts, huh?
my favorite funny parts. I'm running that word together there.
Yep.
Favorite funny parts, and I'm just like my favorite character. I've
Probably
said
some
on.
parts in there.
Oh, there is.
There is, yeah. There's a few.
Parts in
There's some kazoos too.
Yes.
And it's just such a funny show, or rather film. And my favorite character on there is Vinny Van Gogh, who's played by Gian Molina, and that guy is hilarious, man. He's the energy vampire on there. So if you guys want to know what we're talking about, you can help us out here at AfterBuzz TV. Help us keep the lights on, and it's you guys who are going to help support us. And go ahead and tweet at us too. Tell us, hey, I bought the film on iTunes. And let us know what you guys think too. And be sure to let us know what you think of the podcast as well. Rate and comment us. Leave some comments for us to talk about. We had Alex RT 101291 gave us 4 stars, and he said this is one of the weirdest and hardest shows to follow I have ever watched, but I'm mesmerized, and you guys do an awesome job of breaking it down and bringing clarity.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Fantastic. And we also got another comment on our YouTube channel from Go Bears Go Bulls saying, thank you, team, for another entertaining recap.
Yes.
Yes.
That's awesome.
They sound like
Yeah,
they're
thank you.
Chicago
Yeah.
native there.
Yeah. I wonder if you're from Illinois. So am I. Alright.
Perhaps. So I think we pretty much wrapped it up with the bromance stuff.
Yeah.
Olivia and Shelley had an interesting conversation in the attic, and we kind of touched on that a little bit, but let's go more into detail about it. So there must have been some like big time metaphors and symbolism there. But I didn't catch all of that. Did you guys?
Nope, right over my head.
Watched it a couple times.
Yeah. I was trying to watch it a few times and try to piece it together, and I got nowhere. So I'm hoping you guys picked up more than what I did.
Well, I think the thing is just like JJ said before. She said, it's about the history repeating itself, and that she can expect this kind of behavior from Roman. So something might happen to Roman that she's expecting. Just a little foreshadowing.
Oh.
That's how I took it too. I thought it was interesting. I like to see Olivia like this because I had to rewatch the scene first when she discovers he's gone, right before when she's talking to Shelley. Because the first time I missed the full moon and the reflection, like an idiot. I didn't see that till the second time I watched.
When she said that little shit.
Yeah, when she said that.
And
little
then she
shit.
smirks.
Yeah.
That's what I had to watch again. 'Cause I'm like, she actually smirked, like she knows, what he's up to. And I liked that because it wasn't like she's just mad, and that it really set up the whole conversation with Shelley to be more of this like. She's not mad at her either, and it just really set it up well, I thought.
But who was she talking about with that little shit? Because the first time I watched it, I assumed she was talking about Peter, because Peter had been in the room, and, maybe she thought that Peter convinced Rowan to leave. And the second time when I saw the smirk, I was kind of, maybe she's talking about Roman.
I totally
time.
thought Roman. I thought because he left without telling her, and then she knew it was the full moon, so he was going to be out. Since she made it seem like she knows what he's going to be doing, or because she said she knows what he's up to this whole time. So seeing the full moon, she's like, yeah, that little shit's out there. I know what he's going to try to go do.
That's the great thing about
He's
this.
going to be with Peter during the full moon.
Yeah.
Ambiguity. We really don't know what she means. It's like, who? What are you talking about?
Which one is the shit?
It is, and you have to watch it over and over because you're like, wait, no, what? Yeah.
I was like, the moon's there, so that makes me think of Peter, but then Roman's the one missing, so yeah.
And that whole conversation, though, that Shelley and Olivia had, it was actually very calm. And she even said to herself, I'm not cross, at least not with you. It didn't even seem like she was cross with Roman or Peter at all.
And I also, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I also liked when she said, when she first asked her, and she said that she, doesn't know where he was, and then she's like, I'm not going to quote this correctly, but she's like, that's what I love about you. Your inability to speak is also you can't lie.
The beauty of your inability to speak is the inability to lie.
Yeah.
Which is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because all she does is just like,
Yeah.
nod.
Nods and grunts.
Yeah.
Man.
And then there was that whole thing with their roles being like predetermined before their, so it seems like there's so much religious content in this show, and it seems like maybe there is a divine hand playing everybody like puppets, and we're really not, we don't see them. It's like someone's marionetting them behind the scenes.
Or like all this stuff can happen and you can't help it, you can't stop it no matter what you try to do.
It also made me really want to know, like, the past between, all the different types of species that they are, like, because it seems like it's history repeating itself over and over again. And so it just made me, like, hungry to know, what was all the past and how is it, doing this again? Because she seems to know what's coming.
Makes me think of how old is Roman really?
How old is Olivia?
Is Olivia really?
Yeah.
How old is everyone? Is it like that superhero movie with Will Smith where he keeps like coming back to life and then dying and forgetting everything? I can't.
Hancock?
Hancock.
Yeah.
Hancock.
That one. Is it
Great
like one of those things going on right now, or something different? I don't know.
I did get that sense with Olivia,
Yeah.
like she just can't die. She
Yeah.
just keeps coming back and
keeps living.
different form. Yeah.
Now, Christina and Norman also have an interesting conversation in the hospital, and it was only one scene that had Christina in it this episode, and she's sitting there, she's all like, it's funny because in another scene, it was Marie, she said, Letha's morose. I feel like Christina was kind of morose too, because she's just sitting there all like drugged up, and speaking of drugs, she asks to get her meds lowered from Dr. Norman. And he said, I think he says, like, doesn't he say like, oh yeah, we'll do that. We'll see. I'll probably
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. And now I feel like she talks about magic, and why does she ask him? Why do you guys think she asked him if he believes in magic?
I couldn't think of why.
Well, I just think maybe it's just all these random things keep happening, and it might be some mystical force behind everything. but just to explain like all the weird things that's going on in that town. But she also says the interesting line that all this medication makes her feel like blocking something.
Yeah, which she followed up with, she feels like she can't find her way back.
Exactly.
And she was conveniently nowhere to be found that night during the attack.
Telling you she did
Just
it.
telling
She
you,
ate those
because her
girls.
friends were calling her and they left her a voicemail. It was like, this is like our 50th voicemail that we're leaving you. Why haven't you picked up the phone? And the whole time I'm just thinking, all right, Christina, where are you? Because I just saw you in the hospital, but you're not going anywhere unless you did.
After this episode, I was like convinced. I'm like,
Yes.
she did it. She just ate her friends.
Because you know what? They were good friends, but they also weren't good friends. They were mean girls
And
to
they called
her.
her, and like even on the phone when they were leaving the message, she was like, "Call us back, bitch."
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
also for me kind of made sense that the
Whoever
I can say
did
this, is going after the snatch, because it, like they were like the hoochie girls that were like, you know, like, and then she was feeling like she had to compete and have sex and get the condoms and all the things that we've kind of talked about this whole time. So
Yes.
then I'm like, it actually makes sense for me if she's going into
That does make
attacking them in their girl parts.
Yeah, that does make
Man.
kind of sense if Christina was the killer, if she's this Vargolf. But we haven't even seen if it is a wolf-looking creature. We don't know, right?
Maybe it's a white wolf, hence her hair turning white.
Maybe it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah.
In the next few episodes. There's only, 3 episodes left, right?
Yeah.
11, 12.
Can't believe it.
Yeah.
Going so fast.
So,
All the more reason to have season 2.
yeah, series.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Since you
Netflix.
brought up
Yeah,
the scene with Marie too, I did think she had an interesting line to Norman when she said, "At a time like this, the only thing there is to stay together."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Keeping the family together.
Yeah.
I noticed that too. It seemed like everybody was fearful and scared of the Vargolf, and not even just the Vargolf, but the killer, because everybody just thinks it's a killer for the most part, right? And the full moon that's out. Everybody's scared of it, but at the same time, it's bringing everybody together.
Yeah.
Because just last week, right, was when they had the whole scene at the table, and she was mad and upset with him and stuff. So it was kind of a big turn for her now in this episode from last week.
And I just wanted to point out that I'm still not sure how I feel about Norman, because after he left Chrissy's room and was talking to Sheriff Sworn, you know, he asked how Chrissy was doing, and he goes, well, you know, someone with her condition. It was just the way he said her. I was kind of like, I don't know that I like you that much, Dr. Norman. I feel like you're up to something else, and the way he said that, I don't know, just didn't rub me the right way. So probably completely out there type of gut feeling, but I'm going to go with it.
Go with it.
Don't trust him. Based off of that one thing.
So Chaucer, she's hunting down Peter this time, and she's more adamant about it, but she wants to do it her way, right? Even though she calls her brother, this is the first time we get to see her brother, because that other guy, we were proposing that it was her brother, but it wasn't, right? Because that guy
Correct.
looks totally different. He looks, the other dude in the suit, he was like bigger, taller, he had more facial hair. This time we get to see Michael, and he's on the other side of the phone. He looks like he's an agent with the Order of the Dragon as well, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
He's
involved.
He's sniping somebody out. He's observing someone with his binoculars, and
Taking pictures.
he's taking pictures. We don't know where he is. Is he in Hemlock Grove also? Because at the end of the episode,
He got there quick.
Yeah, I kind of
Yeah.
thought so, because he said that he's on a beach in Hawaii, but even when he was looking out the window, you can see he's in this woodland area. So I don't think he's in Hawaii.
yeah,
I think that was definitely sarcastic and, you know, covering.
Oh, definitely.
What if he was observing her, making sure that she's not going off the mission?
Possibly.
Could be.
It's possible. And also, like, at the end, Chaucer has this flashback, right? I'm kind of jumping ahead. But she has this flashback, and she told him to meet her at the spot. You know where it is. And it's at the waterfront, right?
Yeah.
Where the steel mill is. It's like, have they been to Hemlock Grove before? How many times
Yeah.
have they been there? Is this like the nexus of the universe for like Vargolf and like mystical creatures and stuff?
It's like the Helma.
Yeah, so it's just pretty weird. Like, you would have thought that it doesn't seem like they've been to Hemlock Grove before, but then she says, meet me at the spot, and then they've clearly been there before in the flashback.
Yeah, you know where. But the interesting thing about this flashback is that you see Chasseur, she's drinking Diet Coke, And Michael's like, well, that's disappointing because he thought it was beer and he wanted a sip. But she said that she was sober for a year. Did the order make her sober? Or being in the order, did that cause her to become sober?
She fell off that bag
Yeah.
real quick.
Very quick. All the stress of hunting down werewolves.
I mean, she's killing. I know she doesn't think they're people, but I still think they're people.
I think she does. I think part of her feels like they're people. And that's why she was having such an internal conflict with going after Peter.
Yeah.
Especially since he's just a kid.
Yeah. And also, she goes.
That was weird. I don't know.
3 of us.
Yeah. And then they made eye contact. It was very intense.
We're all on the same page.
Allow me to interject.
Go ahead.
So she goes up to Sworn. Now let's backtrack more a little bit. Okay, so she goes up to Sworn when they're still in the field, and he's telling all his deputies to go out and set up their posts to do their surveillance or patrols and stuff for the night, right?
Yeah, because he put the whole town on curfew, and they're setting firemen and feeder lights, which is interesting.
What the hell are feeder lights?
Feeder lights are LED lights that you set up, used during hunting at night.
Oh. So you can see the ground and possibly see the wolf, right?
Yeah.
So she has this conversation with him, pretty much telling him that she's going to be leaving. But she says it so long-windedly, right? And she's asking him, or she's telling him all this stuff, and he was like, for, aside from the obvious, what the hell does any of that mean?
I felt the same way. I was like, yes, Swarm, for telling it like it is. That's how I feel a lot in this show sometimes. Like, guys, just say what you mean and mean what you say.
I agree, especially
Help us sister out.
Especially with her, because it's like after all the heaviness with her brother and that conversation and figuring out what happened with their dad and all that, then to have this too the same way, like, oh, come on, just spit it out. Just say it simply, please.
But some things that I did get from there after I rewatched this and found out what happened to his kids was she kept saying, trust your gut feeling. You know where you're needed. You should be where you don't be fooled by strength in numbers. You
have a lot to protect.
Yeah, you have a lot to protect.
Which is interesting because Destiny also told Chasseur, you have to trust your feeling in your gut too.
Yeah, and
And now she's telling it to Sworn.
Yeah, she touched her right there too, in the stomach.
It's about knowing it in here.
But I think obviously Sworn must have kind of got it. He kind of it didn't go completely over his head.
Yeah.
So he ended up at his home, and he was even recalling some of the deputies to come just patrol his house too. And he got so distracted. We're going into Sworn now, but let's backtrack a little bit.
Backtrack.
Yeah.
To Chasseur. So she ends up going to the steel mill, and at first I was like, is that her? I wasn't too sure. But she was all decked out in her tactical gear, and she looked like a SWAT officer.
She did, right? Yeah. When she was running around in the rafters, and then she made it down there really quick after she took that shot.
She's athletic.
Yeah, I was like, dang, did you do like a triple somersault off that thing and stick the landing?
I wonder how much weapons training.
I wouldn't put it past her.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I wouldn't put it past her.
She has an athletic build. She could do it.
Yeah, she does. I wonder how much weapons training. Oh, we should ask her when she comes in. Is she coming in next week?
Next week, I believe. Yes.
Next week. You hear that,
Yes,
AfterBuzz
we will
fans?
have Candace McClure in studio.
Candace McClure, who plays Dr. Clementine Chasseur. She's going to be here next week in person.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
So you guys can watch it live. Oh, yeah, and you can watch it live on your iPads and iPhones, too, because we're running on HTML5, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Boom.
So she's up in the rafters. She's chasing him down. She gets him, and he didn't even get to search for anything.
I was so mad at that moment. I was hoping she would miss. I was so disappointed.
I was disappointed too, but
I was too.
And then she muzzles him. So obviously he's not the killer because he was knocked out and muzzled the whole night, pretty much, or at least most of the night. And
Which is what Roman kept trying to tell her. It's not him. It's not him.
yeah, and she really did her homework on Roman, and she was like, "Don't make eye contact. Do not make eye contact with me." And she had her gun on him. At first, she had the rifle with the darts on him, but then she even pulled out her sidearm too.
Yeah.
And she pulled out her blade, threatening to, okay, if you're not scared, then I'm gonna cut Peter and spill his blood all over the place.
I thought that was really cute, and it goes back to their little rekindled bromance that, Roman was so scared that she was going to hurt Peter, And you could just see it. He was like, no, just please don't hurt him. And then it would turn into anger, like, I'll find you, and I'll kill you myself. You know, so, I mean, I thought that was really sweet that, you know, they've gone through so much, yet here they are at this point, and you can see that they truly do have each other's back. So you can't really question the loyalty there anymore, I think.
I like that too.
Yeah,
Definitely in it.
so she puts him in the back of the truck, and she does she do a call? Yeah, she did a call to the bishop, and she said to get a doggy bed out because he's taking a nap.
And what a creep that bishop is, I just have to say. I do not like him at all. Bad.
I don't like him.
And I thought it was such a good visual when he's like orchestrating all this stuff and then be up above him on the stained glass. You know, was the guy.
And he told her not to purge the beast
Yeah.
herself. He specifically said, bring the body to us, and we'll take care of it.
And here she prays before she's going to kill Peter. I think the interesting thing is when Chasseur is talking to the bishop, they're calling each other by code names, and Chasseur's name is Little Mouse, which isn't really predatory. If you think about it, Little Mouse sounds like a name for something that's about to, be attacked. I mean,
She's being preyed upon.
you could call yourself like Hawkeye or Eagle or something more threatening.
Well, that's why I thought it was interesting combined with the stained glass above him, where it's got like little birds and like a wolf, you know, things that are like smaller things. Like, you know, I think there was kind of a wolf-like. Because at first I thought it was a lamb, but then it had a long tail that was coming up there too. So it was like this guy herding all these things, and that's when he kept calling her Little Mouse. I felt that way too. I was like, that's not a very strong. So it felt like that's what he was doing to her too.
And how did Olivia Mouse know? Godfrey know that she was called Little Mouse? Isn't that weird? Like, was she listening to her? Does she have super hearing?
I feel like she listened to the conversation.
Yep.
But did she say Little Mouse when she was on the phone with the bishop?
She might have said this is Little Mouse or something.
I think she did say.
I feel like she
Because
said
she's like protocol and then Little Mouse and
Cypher.
I think so.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
Cypher.
But I think she said the Little Mouse out loud only when she was at the bar. So was Olivia following her at the bar or wherever, the game shop or wherever she was when she was outside?
possibly.
Obviously, you know, there's so many ellipses, and we don't know where Olivia really was. Like, I would assume she was at the house. But why did she go all the way to the steel mill to intervene?
I mean, because her son was there. I didn't think it had anything really to do with Peter at that point. It just had to do with she knew that something was going to happen, and maybe it was a mother's instinct that she needed to go protect her son. But, I mean, we saw her hiding around the corner even when Roman was leaving out the place. So
Yeah, I think it was just Olivia trying to find Roman because Olivia knows that he's awake now. What's one of the few places that Roman will go to with Peter? Probably the steel mill. That's why she was there.
Yeah, but Chasseur raises her gun. We hear a gunshot. Boom, we're outside of the steel mill. We do not know what happens. And all we see, and it fast forward to the end of the episode, all we see is Chasseur's truck, which has all the evidence that she's worked so hard to get strewn about the river and the surrounding woodland area. The kids find it. They try to open the door, the alarm goes off, and we don't get to see anything because the kids are going to see anything.
They ruined it for everyone.
They did, seriously. So what do you guys think happened there? Do you think Chasseur's in the truck? Do you think she's in the woods somewhere, bleeding, injured?
I think it could be one of two things. Because I don't think that we don't know all the things Olivia's capable of yet. And I don't think Olivia would have been running her mouth to Chasseur with the gun and everything if she didn't know that she could take her. So either Chasseur actually did get away with shooting Olivia and Olivia's body in there, which I don't think, or Olivia, did something to defend herself and Chasseur's body's in there. Or I just thought of a third one. Maybe the whole thing's just staged by Chasseur because she wanted to get out of the order. So maybe she staged it to look like something happened and threw all her evidence about and everything so that she could have a clean escape to get out of there.
Wow.
That one just came up
That's
in my
actually,
head.
that's a really
I watch a
good
lot of
one.
like CSI and stuff, so I got the crime scenes down, guys.
Nice.
All right, fast forward to Sworn. Okay, so he locks down the town. We know what he's doing. We've talked about it a little bit within the other topics. and he's at home. He gets distracted so easily when he's at home. He's obviously on edge. But do you think the Vargolf, or whoever the killer is, was smart enough to make all these banging sounds or like make noise outside so that Sworn goes outside and he's distracted and look, it's like he's lured away from the nest. He can't protect his kids anymore.
But didn't
I
he
think it
close
was
the
just
door? I just had to ask that because I
The
didn't
rear
get to,
door?
The
door that was
the
inside.
door that he walked out the door of his house to go investigate.
Yeah, he closed the door
Okay.
just to make sure nothing gets in.
But
How'd that work out?
That didn't work out well for him.
We don't
But I
know.
think it was just convenient how the weather was acting up. It was windy. He had to staple that door shut. Perfect timing.
I'm kind of with you a little bit, though. I had the thought that maybe the wolf was distracting him like that, pulling him away and
Yeah.
kind of setting him up so that she could go in.
She?
Yeah.
maybe if she
Christina.
I heard a she.
I'm staying involved.
Yes.
so but we don't
I'm
know
probably way wrong.
we don't know how it got in. Is it going to show next episode? That's the question. Like did it get in through a screen door? Because obviously those are weak. Did it break the glass? Because it's a wolf. It could probably, maybe it's a Vargolf, a strong ass wolf, mystical wolf. So maybe it could break some glass or whatever and get in there.
Maybe it's smart enough to use a paw to open the door. You never know. But I will say, sad that those girls got eaten, but at least they went down looking great. They looked fabulous because they had just done their hair and their makeup and they were having fun and they had on their glamour dresses and heels. So at least they went out looking hot.
It was an unfortunate way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
minus that, but I mean, you still have to look cute if you're gonna go, right?
All right. The thing is, I noticed because I rewatched this episode again, around the girls, there were like little white furs.
Yeah.
White, like Christina's hair.
Oh. This is the
Christina takes her revenge.
All I know is it's going to be really hard these last few episodes to not watch the next one. Even this one, I was like, oh, come on, one more.
yeah, that's what I
Didn't do
wanted
it,
to
didn't do
also.
it.
When I went back on Tuesday night after the show ended, obviously here, I went back and I watched it sideways in my bed with my iPad turned sideways. But this is the first time that we have seen victims that we've known for so long during the show.
Yeah.
Every other victim, Lisa Willoughby and the
Brooke.
Brooke. Keep forgetting her name. The other girl, the cheerleader Brooke, they're just like nobody. We barely got to know them at all. We didn't like these girls very much for the most part, but it was still really sad to see them die.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting how it's 2 girls die this time instead of the others. It was only 1 at a time. And that these deaths were caused in a house, in an internal, interior space, where the other ones were outside in the woods and whatnot. So it makes me think that whoever or whatever killed these girls, it was kind of on a personal level.
Yeah.
And
point.
there was only one of them, right, that had her guts exposed. The other one did not. Am I right?
We saw the guts on one of them. The
Yeah,
other
just-
one was just like,
Specifically.
Yeah, the other one, Alexa and Alyssa were the characters' names. So yeah, and he was. What was he doing? He was like holding the guts too. Sworn was like.
Trying to push them
trying to
back
put her-
in,
yeah.
to put her back together,
Yeah.
because in a moment of shock, you just want to do everything you can. But I like what Marissa said about the change of sort of the crime scenes, because if this was a person we were dealing with and, a serial killer, they usually have the same things that they do every time to make it all connected, where this one is completely different. So something has changed, or maybe someone has changed to do this crime. So maybe it wasn't the same person. Maybe someone's trying to do like a copycat thing. If I was watching CSI, that's what I'd say.
Maybe. I just had a thought when you said that. This supports my fact that it could be Christina. But they talk. So we had the line earlier when Chasseur says you can't know that about yourself and continue being a person. Like if you know yourself as a monster. So Christina said in this episode that she can't find her way, having trouble finding her way back. So maybe it's her monster and the monster and her and Christina are starting to get their lines blurred, so that's why maybe this one could be personal. Maybe.
I like that too. I'm
good.
so down. I've always been down for this Christina's the werewolf thing, so I like that JJ's over here
That's my
supporting it.
prediction. That's my prediction early.
she called it. She called it.
Well, I think we've pretty much exhausted talking about that stuff, but I just feel bad
Yeah.
for Sworn And he seemed.
Because he's tried so hard throughout all these episodes, like having all the police force on lockdown, making sure, because you see in multiple episodes, like the police are calling into him saying like this street and this street are all clear, like throughout the whole season. And now, you know, his own daughters die in his own house.
And I hope that they don't try to loop it to make him the killer, to bring it back on him, because we know he didn't do it, but the evidence, who knows what they'll actually find.
You know, when he got up and he kind of ran towards, the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, he's just running towards his daughter's body because he like wants to see him one last time. But the first time I saw it, I was like, wait, is he gonna like run? Is he like, trying to ditch the police and the ambulance people?
They were asking him, you know, we got to know what happened, and he couldn't speak, which I don't, as a father, how could you?
Yeah.
And I think he was still in a state of shock as well.
Clearly.
Can I bring up one more question for you guys to jump back
Sure.
to something a little bit? We were talking about Olivia and Chasseur, and the little mouse thing. So what do you think when she mentions also to her where she says, St. Jude is not the order that you belong to? What do you think that she was like alluding at there? I mean, I know we've talked about her, but
I think Olivia knows more about the Order of the Dragon too than she's letting on.
See, that's a really good point. We don't know like how she got all this info. Maybe it's because Olivia is, like you guys were talking about earlier, lived a longer period of time. Maybe she is this Umpire/vampire woman who's been around for generations, and that she's familiar with the Order of the Dragon because they've tried to hunt her down before. Maybe she's changed locations.
And what's the conflict with Chasseur and St. Jude versus Order of the Dragon?
Well, I would say I want to bring it back to last episode when she's having the flashback of the bishop putting that Order of the Dragon seal, the cross, on her, and he says to her, wear this among all others, or like, this is the only thing you should wear. But she's not wearing it. She's only wearing the St. Jude one, and that has a weird connection to that werewolf girl that she killed.
So do we know the meaning behind St. Jude?
I do not.
Well, St. Jude's the patron of lost hope. Or lost causes.
Lost causes.
Lost causes.
Okay.
And the Order of the Dragon is St. George.
So I wonder in the flashback scene with her and Michael, which one she's wearing, because at that time she was sober and seemingly happy with her job or whatever, and now she's wearing this. So, and if it's, you know, the patron of, you know, lost souls, or what did we
Lost
say?
causes.
Lost
Lost
causes.
causes.
Maybe she's seeing herself more in a lost cause state since she's back to drinking. So.
I think so too. And another thing is that I believe at the beginning of the episode when we first see Chasseur, she's looking at the same picture of Peter, but I thought the cinematography was interesting, how they filmed that, because you saw the reflection of the picture in a mirror, which was all distorted, and kind of made me think it kind of reflects her mental mind state, and maybe her views on things are getting a little bit blurred too, and it's affecting her judgment and clouding her ways of doing things.
I feel like she sobered up a little bit this episode. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to command Roman to do stuff as easily.
She's a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah, she
In the
is.
beginning of the episode, I still kind of thought she was drunk when she was looking at the pictures and stuff. I was like, maybe she's still hitting the bottle.
Yeah,
but-
you're right. She turned it around pretty quickly.
And there was still more of that sounds coming from the next room.
Yep.
I tell them to get a room, but clearly they already did.
And they're putting it to use.
Yeah, they're putting it to good use.
Well, let's go ahead and move into our news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
I was checking out Instagram and Twitter like I usually do. And I was stalking Nicole Boyven, who plays Shelly. She's the face half of Shelly. And if you guys, our fans, want to follow her on Instagram, you can follow her at Nicole, Nicole Boyven, Boivin 13 on Instagram. And yesterday she tweeted a very delicious looking pic of some cupcakes that she says were homemade, and they look so scrumdiddlyumptious.
That's awesome.
I wasn't sure if he was going to say cupcakes or what after that sentence.
She said homemade in her comment. She said homemade chocolate cupcakes with peanut butter cups and Reese's Pieces inside, topped with peanut butter cream icing, sprinkled and crushed with Reese's Pieces, made by me and Mish Boyven, which is her twin sister.
Oh.
Yes. So if you guys want to check that out and drool a little bit looking at the picture,
Okay.
you can. She has 84 likes on it and like 20 comments.
I gotta say, it does look scrumdiddlyumptious.
And there's also another picture of her that's right after that, I believe, which is her and her twin sister. So if you guys, our fans, want to go ahead and check that out, you can see what she looks like without all the crazy eye makeup and bulging stuff coming out of her face. Additionally, on Twitter, when was this? A couple days ago, actually just yesterday, Candace McClure, she tweeted that she is sick as a dog. ... Are dogs that sick? My baby at Silence Music made me yummy spicy veggie laksa, and I have #Netflix, so it's not all that bad. It's nice. It's nice that the people who do the Netflix shows enjoy watching Netflix too. That's pretty neat. Landon Liboiron, who plays Peter on the show, you can find him at 77flipped. He tweeted a funny picture of Ron Burgundy, so he must be into Ron Burgundy. And he did that famous quote on there: "What if tonight we weren't coworkers, but we were co-people?" Any news and gossip from you ladies?
I checked on Netflix. The last time I checked, the reviews or the ratings went up to 422,101 ratings. Average of 4 stars. Pretty good. And Gunya Dio Horn, who plays Destiny, romantic in the show, she tweeted last week that her short film that she was telling us about, the Smoke Shack, it won Best Comedy at the Yorkton Film Fest last week. So good for her.
Yeah.
I'd like to, see that.
Good for
Maybe
Tio Horn.
tweet out a link and we can check that out.
Oh, you want me to do that one, or you don't?
Oh,
You can say it, Marissa.
Oh, you want me to
Yeah, I
say
want
it?
you to say it.
Okay. Director and executive producer Darren Serafian is no longer going to be part of Hemlock Grove.
Boo.
Sad face. But he's going to be directing Hell on Wheels. I'm not sure how many episodes, but he's going to be directing that upcoming. And he now has a working job on the CW Star-Crossed, which is slated to come out the 2013-2014 season. It's a mid-season kind of show that will air on the CW. It's a series that follows a romance between human girls and alien boys, and 8 others of the alien kind are integrated into a suburban high school. Kind of feels like Roswell, like a modern day Roswell.
I watched the trailer for it. It looks pretty good. I also saw a couple CW faces in there of people that from other shows, like Matt Lanter from 90210, and then Carol Lockwood from The Vampire Diaries. She was killed off. Sorry if you haven't seen that finale.
Thanks for spoiling it.
It was a long time ago, a couple episodes before the finale. But yeah, I was like, oh, the CW, keeping it all in the family.
All right. So, congratulations to Darren. That's great for him. Maybe we'll cover the Star-Crossed series here at AFTERBUZZ. So, but good for him. We wish him all the best. And Hemlock Grove wouldn't be Hemlock Grove without him. So, good for him.
Prediction time.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Yes. All right. I feel like Peter is going to escape. I saw that game and fishing truck open, so I don't think he's in there. And I think Chasseur's going to be hurt. She won't be dead, but I feel like she will be hurt next episode. Marissa can't do anything.
I can't do anything.
I always look to my right. Ladies across the table?
I also don't think that Chasseur is dead, just because she has a lot of things that she still needs to take care of. I cannot remember if I've actually said this out loud or just in my head, but I am totally with JJ that Christina is some sort of werewolf or something, or maybe even the killer of her friends. So, and I also predict that Letha is the cutest pregnant person ever, because I always forget she's pregnant, but I'm going to predict that one of these days we're going to see what's inside her.
We're not gonna use.
After it came out, I meant what creature or whatever is growing, because I don't think it's a real baby. So whatever's growing in there, we're gonna figure out what it is.
This is This is ABTV, not OBGYN.
Sounded way worse than I wanted it to.
I kind of did mine earlier, but I will agree with you that I don't think Chasseur, and I hate saying her name, Chasseur, is dead.
Chasseur.
There was that moment where Chasseur called up Michael and asked for Michael's help to get her out of the order. So it makes me think that Michael's even higher up or more invested in the order than we know.
But he told on her, Tattletale. He
called the priest.
Dude.
But he has some pull with the order.
I guess he does. He's probably, you're probably right. He's up there in the organization. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much, our fans at home, for checking us out at our AfterBuzz TV Hemlock Grove podcast. Be sure to download Serial Buddies because it's funny as hell. I guarantee it.
And thank you, Dean Odell, for calling in tonight.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, thanks, Dean. And be sure to tune in next week, guys, because thanks to Marissa, once again, we have Candace McClure, who plays Chasseur, Dr. Chasseur, coming into the studio with us live. And we'll buzz with you next week. Oh, wait, I forgot to say our stuff you can follow us at. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Austin O.
You can tweet your predictions at me at Serafini TV.
You can find me at SweetT22.
And I'm at JJ Jurgens.
Thanks a lot, guys.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.